Hey guys, wInevitable here with the one, the only. It is Thrall. That's right, the brand new hero here in Heroes of the Storm. He's gonna do a little dance. This is the Thrall Master skin. It's pretty awesome looking. Of course, he has another skin. I think it's a Bloodhammer skin, or you know, it's the other skin is the one I'll show off in game. I actually own that one. I do not have the Master skin yet. Working on it. I think I'm like level 7 with him right now, and he's a blast. Some might say he's overpowered. Some won't. Some will say he's balanced and just, you know, you burst him down. He is a lot of fun to play. And we're going to look at a couple different options for him. There's a couple different builds out there right now. Nobody's really settled on a default that's like the go-to all the time for Thrall. So, you know, we'll look at a couple branches you can take depending on the game. And everything will show off his abilities here and jump into game with him in part 2. So if you're looking for the gameplay, you just want to see, you know, one specific build in action, go ahead and check out part 2. Here we're gonna talk about his abilities and everything else as well. And to talk about Thrall for a minute here, he is one of the tankiest assassins. He is the tankiest assassin in the game. He's got the most hit points. His base hit health pool is 875 versus a Kerrigan who's 830. So he is right up there. He's like below most of the warriors. He's like tankier than an Anubarak, but he's slightly fewer hit points than a Rhaegar or an Uther. He does get 160 per level, so he's just under 4,000 at level 20, 3915. So he's got quite a big chunk of health and a good amount of regen to go along with that. And on top of that, before we even get to his abilities and his traits, which add into that, he has ton of damage, the most damage in his auto attacks in the game. And you know, when you look at those, it's hard to believe that he's not a little bit maybe imbalanced. For example, Chen starts out with 50 damage at level 1. Thrall has 55. Okay, now he doesn't have the hit points of Chen. Chen, we don't want to compare him to Chen that much, but he starts out with the most damage in the game, and he ends at level 20 with the most damage in the game. He gets 17 extra damage on his auto attacks per level. He's at 378 at level 20. Now he attacks 0.91 attacks per second, a little bit slower than some of the other heroes. Some of the other assassins attack a little bit faster. A Falstad attacks very fast at like 1.42. Most of the other ones are at like 1.25 attacks, so he's a little bit slower, but he hits hard at almost 100. It's like 80 more damage than the next closest hero per attack at level 20. So it's a lot of damage, and it's definitely important to keep that in mind as we, you know, as you're playing against him or you're playing him. Very tanky, and he hits hard. Now we want to actually talk about
a clever strategy.
Yeah, a clever strategy. Let's talk about a clever strategy. Okay, so let's talk about Thrall. Besides just the basic numbers, you've got his trait. We'll start with that. Frostwolf Resilience. He is a melee assassin. We didn't really say that yet. He's a melee assassin. He's got a little bit of sustain to him as well. Kind of like a shaman is the idea, that the role that Blizzard built him, the mold that they built him to fit. You know, he's got this thing called Frostwolf Resilience, and what happens is when he deals damage with abilities, you get a stack. At every 5 stacks, you heal yourself. In this case, at level 2, let's reset. Actually, let's reset the level here.
Let's move.
Just to show you from basic level 1, at 5 stacks, you get 85 health. And now this scales up, you're looking at 36 more per level. 36 more health per level. So at level 20, he's got 769 from his stacks whenever he gets 5 stacks. That's a ton of hit points. He's going to be at like 3,900 hit points, so he's healing not quite, you know, 25% of his health, but close. Like 20% of his health, a little bit more than that. Almost 25%. Almost a quarter of his health from his passive here, every 5 stacks. And this counter right here, this little wolf sign, this will show you his stacks as he earns stacks. If I go in here, toggle the minions on,
yes.
We'll show off his abilities here too. The first one is Q. It's called Chain Lightning. And it's a ranged ability. This is the casting radius. It's a point-and-click targeted ability. And it'll hit one target and deal damage, 67, and then it splashes half damage to 2 more nearby enemies. And this scales up to 390 damage at level 20. So that's like another auto attack on top of it with that ability. And you can see he's got the stacks. He's got 3 stacks from that Chain Lightning. So if I cast it again, I'm going to level up pretty much, and I'll have 1 charge. You can see it denoted by the little red icon right here. The bar kind of lights up, and so if we cast it again, now I'm going to get 3 more stacks, and you can see 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one will reset this. So, he'll heal each time he gets 5 stacks. Chain Lightning will give him 2 because if it deals damage to 3 enemies, that is. So it's each time his abilities deal damage, he gets a stack. And so Chain Lightning, is basic damage to a single target, and then it splashes half damage to 2 other targets. And now as Arthas runs away, we're going to show off the W, if I can actually hit this. Oh, it roots. See how it actually rooted Arthas for a single second? It's a 1-second root. It does damage in a line to minions and mercenaries and heroes, but it stops at the first hero hit, rooting them in place for 1 second. So it deals 50 damage at level 1, and this is going to scale up to almost the same as Chain Lightning. It's 335. So it's less damage, it's more about the root, and that's why, like, if you see a Thrall come running into your lane, like in a gank kind of style, and he catches you off guard, well, you're going to be in trouble. Let's reset the level here too. We don't want to level up just yet. Okay, so we've shown this off. Now the lightning is very cheap. It's 35 mana with a 6-second cooldown. The root's more expensive. There's 60 mana and a 12-second cooldown. So it's a long, it's the basic root cooldown is about 12 seconds usually. Like Malfurion with his roots, 12 seconds is a pretty common timer there. So it's a good delay between those. You have to really use it wisely, and it can be hard to hit. It's not the longest range, as you can see, and it's not the fastest, ability in the game. So you want to practice landing your roots and being able to get those to prevent people from escaping. Then he's got his Windfury E. This is the last of his basic abilities, and this will actually, it doesn't do any damage on its own, but it does up your damage because it gives you 25% move speed for 4 seconds. Okay, so if I activate it, you can see I'm running really fast, and then I slow back down. Okay, then it also causes your next 3 basic attacks to occur 100% faster. And this is where it starts to feel like I'm playing like a brawler, like an arcade game or something, like I'm really like trying to combo things, because if I run in here, watch, I tap E, and I come in and boom, 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 and that was 1, 2, and 3. And you can see I got 3 stacks from that. So when you use Windfury, even though you're still attacking with basic attacks, you do get stacks, and I got 3 stacks. If I hit like a couple people with this, I actually hit 2. No, I only hit 1, I guess, because it stopped on Arthas. Remember, it stops on the first hero hit. So I got another stack, and if I use my Q, there you go. I've got 2 stacks now, and I got I activated my trait once. I had 5 stacks there. Okay? So those are the basic abilities. You can see how this would add to him having a lot of sustain. Like if I'm using all these abilities, if I were to hit, say, the Feral Spirit on the whole wave here, I'd actually get quite a few stacks. And you can see right there, what did I get, like 2? I think I got about 2 stacks with that. It's going to add up, and you can actually use the E to chase people down. And then boom, he's dead. So Thrall hits hard. He's got a lot of sustain because of the self-heal, and he does a good chunk of damage. Now let's talk about his heroics. We'll show off one and then show off the other and talk about the builds. There's a couple ways to build him. So for this, we're gonna go for the video in game. We're actually gonna go with the Windfury build. This is kind of it's building up his E, and it helps add some sustain to him. It's a pretty common one we'll talk about. But there's a couple others, so let's go over those first. Well, there's really one other one we're going to look at. The main one being the Q build. And this is great for laning. This isn't what we're going to use in the video, but you can certainly do this if you're playing against, in single lane, maybe you're solo mid or something, and you're against a ranged carry like a Vala. This will help you outlane them quite easily. You take the Rolling Thunder on 1 for the extended range. It returns a little bit of mana if I use this, and then I Q, and I come in here, and if I start attacking, I'll get some mana back if I auto-attack the enemies I've targeted with my Chain Lightning. But it's mainly the range that's important. And this is like a laning build if you use this one. Then you've got Ride the Lightning on 4, and the Chain Lightning will hit 5 heroes, or 5 enemies instead of 3. So you get the extra splash on the 2 more targets, and you can watch how this is basically going to hit everyone here. And then, not only that, but if I hit 5 heroes, I'm getting a full charge of this. I'm getting 5 stacks, and then it's going to be, like, automatically heal myself and deal all that damage on top. Then, we're going to go, and for this you take Battle Momentum. Pretty much on 7, you almost always take Battle Momentum. The idea being, the extra half second on Stone Wolves isn't that big of a deal versus the extra, because you're going to get the reduced cooldowns here, and we'll show you why this is so important. This follow-through would give you a little bit of extra damage, and then you've got Frostwolf's Grace, which would activate, you can activate this on a 30-second cooldown to heal yourself. But the thing is, with battle momentum, you're going to be getting stacks even more often, because you're going to hopefully land your skill shots and not miss them like me. But you're actually going to be able to get so many extra stacks just over the course of a game, and that 30 seconds, for example, from having the extra abilities, just because of the reduced cooldowns, that the battle momentum is pretty much a go-to on 7, no matter which build you take. For this build or for the one we're actually going to use in game. Remember, this one here is just simply for if you need that laning presence for some reason, you want to try it out. It's certainly a fun one to use. The heroics are pretty cool. Right now, the go-to of choice is Sundering, and we'll show that off in a second. The other one I think that's a little more situational, but's going to pick up as people get used to it, that I think has a lot of potential, isn't underused right now, just not being employed a lot, is Earthquake. It's a 60-second cooldown, and it costs 90 mana. It's the higher mana cost of the two, but it's got a shorter cooldown by 10 seconds. And what happens is, you summon an Earthquake in an area around yourself. You can see the radius here, and it will periodically slow enemies for 70%. So if I do that, that's the pulse. Then he'll speed back up to his normal speed, and then a pulse comes back out. And then so there are going to be I believe 4 pulses. It'd be like every 2.5 seconds. There was the third pulse, and then we'll look, and there should be 1. Are there 4? It might only be 3. I have to double check. Let's check it out. You can see though it doesn't do any damage to structure, so that's number 1. Then there'll be a second one, and so you can wombo this pretty well, and there should be 1 more. So it's just 3. It's about 3 1/3 seconds between pulses. So 3 pulses. Okay. Now imagine that with Invizible, we're having a spirit. Okay, like the wombo potential is insane. The problem is because of the pulse, you can kind of run out of it. That's the big drawback, is that it only pulses, so they're slowed for 70%, and then the first pulse passes, and they can run out before the other 2 pulses hit. At least against, you know, more savvy opponents. People who are brand new and don't know how to play against a Thrall might get stuck in for all 3 pulses just because they're not, like, you know, they're not up to speed on everything. So that's that one heroic. Now if you want to continue with the laning build, what you would do, there's a couple of choices here. Let's level up to 20, and then we'll go through the Windfury cooldown build. Okay, so next up, you could take Giant Killer if the other team's very tanky. They have a couple, 2, 3, 4 tanks, something like that. You know, very, very tanky team. Giant Killer's not a bad choice. But the main one here that you want to go with is Grace of Air, and you get twice as many stacks from your Windfury. So if I activate this, and if I actually land my last combo, okay, that was a bad showing. So you can see I've got 3 stacks. If I come in here and activate it, I went from 3, I got 2, activated my passive, and then I got 4 more. So I had 6 from Windfury instead of 3. That is an automatic heal, and then an extra stack on top. So if you had 4 stacks going in, you could potentially get 2 passives off of a single Windfury. And so it's really good to have that. And then of course, what you're doing, if you're going with this build, you could take Forked Lightning on 16, and what will happen is I can basically cast that once, and then cast it again, come in here, and I use my other abilities real quick, and you can see how fast that the wave clears. I would really recommend this too against like a lane push, like an Asmodan comp. If you have to fight against that, the extra Q plus hitting 2 extra minions is going to clear waves pretty quickly. And that's why this is a really strong laning build, though it's not necessarily the best build, depending on the circumstances. And at level 20, you can have 2 choices. You've got the bolt, so you can actually bolt in aggressively, and then Earthquake, which is pretty cool. It adds to that wombo potential even more. And also, if you take Earth and Shields, what happens is each pulse, this is where the 4 came from. It was 3 pulses, but this is where I got the number 4 from. So you'll get a 15% shield of your, 15% max health as a shield. This is all of your allies, you and your allies, and it lasts for 4 seconds. So we show this off. There goes the shield. If I'm going to root him, I can actually root him into the next pulse, and then use my 2 Chain Lightnings to kill him. And you can see it's going to come out again, and we get the extra shield. And so you have this 15% shield, and it'll actually at one point have like a 30% max HP shield, because they last for 4 seconds, and you're going to get 3 of those as long as you're in the Earthquake area. 3 over 10 seconds. So that's really kind of overpowered, but you haven't really seen it. I don't mean overpowered in an imbalanced sense. The shields is just really powerful. The thing here, you don't really see that a lot because most people are taking Sundering, and so let's reset the level and go through. This is called the Windfury build, and this is the one you see the most. I think the first one, the Q build, the Chain Lightning build, is really if you need help laning, or I think if you're against a push style, an Asmodean Abathur, that extra Q plus hitting extra minions is really useful at clearing waves and has a lot of potential there. But generally, this is the one you're going to want to go with, and it's going to be Windfury on level 1. This reduces the cooldown from 9 seconds, oh, actually, I mean, to 9 seconds from 12. So it's a 3-second reduction in cooldown. So now I have a 9-second cooldown. And if you paid attention to the previous part, we took battle momentum on 7, so it's going to stack up nicely with that. And you can see I'm almost ready for another one here. I can actually root him, launch that, and then we're pretty much going to just tear through Arthas here pretty quickly, because Thrall hits so hard, and I can actually chase Arthas down here. Oh, no, not quite. I better heal, but the great thing... Oh, no! I died! Uh-oh. Alright. Don't be such a noob, right? Alright, so... You want to take the reduced cooldown, and then we'll actually look at the next abilities. I'm just going to level them up to 20 to get that done, because, you know, you have to go one by one. Okay, so we're at 20. Level 4 is going to tie into... There's a couple choices. The main one here, the go-to of choice, is Envenom. It's the standard classic Envenom. Now, if there's no good... Like, you're playing 5 tanks or something really weird, and there's no good choice for an Envenom on the other team, Manotide's not bad. What happens is you'll actually get some more sustain in lane because you get 20 mana per passive activation. I've seen that taken. But generally I recommend Envenom. And except in like really odd, rare circumstances. I don't think... Yeah, the Envenom on Arthas isn't going to do that much work. You can see how against him it's not really going to do much because he has so much health. But against a squishier target, and if you have like say 2 or 3 Envenoms on your team, you're going to erase people. Come in here, root him, and then just attack him and kill him. Okay, so level 7 is battle momentum, and together with your auto attacks and your reduced cooldown on the Windfury, we're going to show this off here. If we back up a little bit. Now it's a 9-second cooldown, so I come in and I attacked 3 times. So that's 3 seconds. That's a second and a half off, and then like 2 more attacks. So you're basically taking almost another 3 seconds off of it, and you get it down to about 6 seconds on this. So you're going to, just wait because it gets even better. Level 10 will show off Sundering here. But let's talk about the rest of the build before we show that off, because this is where it really heats up. Giant Killer is still viable if the enemy team comps right, but Grace of Air, now, remember, it's granting you twice as many stacks, and it's on a reduced cooldown. And so that's where you start to get a lot of benefit, because you're getting twice as many stacks, right? But on level 16, you take Tempest Fury, so where the final strike will hit 3 times. And we're going to refresh the minions here. And so, what will happen, so I'm going to come in here, I activated it. I want to take some damage if I can. So I actually lose some health, and then we can really show off how good it is. But the idea is you're going to, we might have to refresh forts too. Let's take some damage here, some free damage. Alright, so, you reduce the cooldown, it grants twice as many stacks, and now you're getting 3 hits at the end of it. So it's going to hit extra, right? So if I come in here, look at how much I just healed up. Now there's a little bit of Malfurion healing on the end there, but I basically healed half of my health. I can come back in here, for example, watch, I'll just tank some damage. I'm actually, like, it's hard to tank damage because of my passive. Like, I'm tanking tower shots pretty much. Now the minions are going to tank a little bit. And if we refresh the forts, we'll show you, it's level 20, so I should be able to tank these, right? But I'm not taking, like, any damage, and I'm going to go up here and hit this one now. And just between my passive, with the reduced cooldown, the twice as many stacks, all that good stuff, I'm at full health, and I just destroyed 2 towers. At full health. I used a bunch of mana to do it, but I'm at full health. And that's the power of the build. When you combine all of these things together, the initial cooldown reduction, the battle momentum, twice as many stacks for your E, and then it hits 3 times at the end there, so you're getting even more stacks. Stacks on stacks, as they might say. So that's the power of this build. That's why it's pretty cool, because you can sustain so long. It increases the sustain by quite a bit. Level 20, ideally you're probably going to take Blink, the Bolt of the Storm here, and blink in, and then use your Heroic, which we're going to show off just a second. But we might actually, for this video, show off the World Breaker. This is where the Sundering, your Heroic, travels indefinitely. Before we activate it, though, let's show off the Heroic Sundering. It's mana cost of 75 and a cooldown of 70 seconds. So it's a longer cooldown than the other one, than the Earthquake. by 10 seconds, but it's a reduced mana cost by a little bit. Very short cooldowns on both of his heroics. After a short delay, you sunder the earth in a long line, as you can see, like that. And then you'll deal 600 damage at level 20. This starts out at 182 damage. It's 22 per level, so you talk like 220, 300, 400. It's about just over 400 damage at level 10, and 600 damage at level 20. And also stuns for 1.5 seconds. So I just basically cleared the wave, and I missed my W. I'm such a bad Thrall. If I could have hit my W, we probably could have killed Arthas there. There you go, I got him. Oh, I Envenomed him too. I don't know if it's going to kill him though. Nah, he's Arthas. He's a tank. But you can see how ridiculous the sustain is here. And so if I were to take World Breaker, this is pretty cool looking. I think Bolt's the better choice here, but look at this. It doesn't stop. It will sunder all the way through. And if I click here, it's going to go across the map. And Sundering is really good for stunning people, splitting teams, doing a little bit of damage, but also interrupting. That's the other bonus. You can interrupt like an Windfury ult, and if you had the unlimited range, you can interrupt somebody on the other side of the map. Now, I do think Bolt's the better choice. The range just, it doesn't, I don't know. I just don't think you're going to need it as much, but it's certainly possible that you could do some pretty cool things with it if you took the unlimited range. But Bolt's pretty cool because then you can bolt into the enemy team and land a really good Sundering, even though it's a shorter range, land a really good one that does, you know, is better for your team, for your positioning and all of that. So that's Thrall. We're going to go ahead, we're going to show off this build, the cooldown, the Windfury build, in a game, probably with Sundering. And, you know, of course, remember, there's the other build if you need to lane a little bit. But this is probably the one I would go with most of the time. It's pretty cool. But thanks for watching, guys. We're going to, you know, get that gameplay up pretty soon. And if you have any questions about Thrall, you want to see anything else, any requests, let me know. Subscribe for more content, of course. And, you know, if you like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. We're actually going to be doing a giveaway soon. I have to figure out all the details yet. I'll probably announce that in, like, the next video or two with some BattleNets, you know, cash money kind of thing, like a, you know, a $20 gift card. So working out the details on that, but it's coming for, you know, one lucky subscriber out there when we hit like 200 or 300 subscribers. We'll see what's going on. I got to figure out the details. But thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. And you know, see you guys on the Nexus.